Hey, this is Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, the Guitar Podcast, and today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to run direct into my Zoom recorder here through the Solid Studio by NUX. It's an impulse response simulator. It simulates different microphones, different speaker cabs, and different tubes for a power amp sort of simulation. It can solve a bunch of problems depending on what you're trying to do with it. You can use it as a recording interface direct into a computer between your computer and, say, like an amp head, like a tube amp head. It can take a load and act like a speaker. And act like a speaker and a mic for you. You can use it at the end of a pedal board chain to simulate an amp and run direct into a PA board. That's how I've been using it to great success. I've been pretty happy with it using it live. I haven't yet done any tests comparing it to an actual amp with a mic on it. But through my in-ears at church when I'm playing with it, it sounds great and I feel like I don't miss the amp that I usually use. So anyways, let's get into it. I'm gonna run a loop that's got some dirty guitar recorded onto it through this, direct into the Zoom, like I said, and I'm just gonna scroll through some settings here. We'll start with everything kind of at the top, and this with both sides off. All right, here is the loop from the Ditto looper that is on the floor. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of the range of this product. I find when I'm using it live, I just twist knobs until it sounds better than it did before. And it's easy to be like, oh, oh, that sounds better than the other setting did. And then twist this around like, oh yeah, that jumps out in this mix. And then so on and so on. I don't typically walk into a set going like, oh, I'm gonna pull out the manual here, and I think this time I'll combine an AC30 212 with a Royer R122. I don't think about it that sort of way. It's more about mixing and matching on the fly to find sounds that work in the mix. And I always, so far I've used this a couple times. So far, it lands on something really nice each time, and I don't miss my amp at all when I'm using it. Something to think about is, and I mentioned this on a podcast episode. I think that's aired already. If it hasn't, sorry. Here's a sneak peek. But something about this pedal is that if you plug it in wrong in a way that it doesn't like, it will like go into this circuit protection automatic shutdown mode, and you'll be left there like scratching your head like, what happened? Is something broken? Does it need a different power source? No, you just plugged it in a wrong way. It didn't like it. You have to find the right way to plug it in that scenario. As an example, when I used it at my church's practice space, I plugged direct into the board through the XLR input on the side, and that worked out great. It sounded great. It worked just fine. I did a full like hour and a half of practice, no problem with this pedal. Then I get it to church the next day, and I plug it in the same way with an XLR in on the side, and something about that different board in a different building with different power, maybe, I don't know, it didn't like it. And so I changed the way it was plugged in to the way it is now, where the output was going direct out of the line output here, or the TRS, like kind of headphone level output. And it ran just fine. 3 hours of being powered on, no problems. And it sounded great. No real noise floor to talk about. And it sounded like a real amp. It sounded like the amp I usually use mic'd up in my in-ears. I use these Ultimate ears here. It's probably out of focus, but here, I'll hold it over the pedal. These Ultimate ears that are supposed to be pretty dang nice. And like I said, I didn't notice a difference versus a regular amp. If you had told me that I was running an amp, I would have probably believed you. So anyways, that's my kind of first impressions of this, if you can call it first impressions, having used it a couple times. I still want to do a video here in the near future where I do dial in a setting that I think is close to one of my amps back here, and do an A/B sort of situation and figure out how close it can actually get to a mic'd amp versus just running direct with this box. All right, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments, and support us on Patreon if you like what we're doing and want to see more of it in the future. It takes time and it takes resources to make these videos. Either I can get paid by the people who make the products, or I can get paid by the viewers. That is the balancing act that I've been trying to figure out. All right, later guys.